So here we have a great question from Mr. Josh himself, and he's asking, I feel as I don't get, or he's stating, I feel as I don't get short-term timeframes as good as I get longer-term timeframes. Any good insight? If my question even makes sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, actually. So as always, you do have to separate different timeframes out. Obviously, there's going to be different things going on in different timeframes. But to the point of your question, because I do know you rather well, and I know your style rather well, I know that you started off on the higher term timeframes. You've had phenomenal success with higher term timeframes. I mean, very, 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 very impressive stuff, which is amazing. I always want to call that out as just really, really good. But the question is, how do I kind of transfer that into the lower term timeframe? So in general, and I wouldn't even say in general, I strongly believe this. Lower term timeframes and higher term timeframes, there's no real difference there between what strategy that you should, between the strategy that you're using. Technically speaking, your strategy on a higher term timeframe should translate into a lower term timeframe and vice versa there as well. The difference is that your strategy will very likely have a lower hit rate on a lower term timeframe. So what is probably putting you off, and I'm kind of guessing here because you didn't necessarily say this, but I'm going to guess that what's probably putting you off is that the lower term timeframes are going to be a little bit more shaky in retrospect to like a daily, weekly, monthly, which is what I know that you typically watch. So those signals on the lower term timeframes are going to come a lot, quicker. And the problem with them is that they're going to, while they do come a lot quicker and a lot more, a lot more just of them, you're going to get a lot more variance in your success, meaning that you're going to have a lot more, your win percentage is going to go down, but at the trade-off at the trade of getting more entries. So technically speaking, it should be somewhat similar over time, but how much time can that take? Because on a higher term time frame, how often do you get a signal on a weekly or a monthly, for example? Not very often, maybe on a weekly, once every couple months in some cases, which I know that you're very, very patient with your trades. And, that is why those higher term timeframes are actually really well suited for someone like you and your mentality. For someone who is at their computer all day, who has the time to invest, who has the time to to basically play the video game of trading, which is the best video game of all time in my opinion. It has financial consequences, so technically make a living off of it if you do really put your mind to it. But you'll have to really be there in order to take advantage of all those, because here's the thing: when you're on the higher term timeframes, you're probably taking all of these signals that you get, and that's easy to do because you're not getting too much of them. But when you're on the lower term timeframes, you kind of still need to take pretty much all the signals that you get, because if you understand the way that statistics are actually working for you, you will understand that the more iterations of those signals that you do take, the better it's going to be, the more even it's going to be for you over time. So that's kind of the mental switch that you go into. But realistically, there's not really a difference, right? So if I'm trading my strategy over here, which this is, no, that's not my strategy. God damn it, where's my damn strategy? Let me just pull it up right here. Like I can show you exactly how I would translate this myself, right? So this, and by the way, I do use high, low, and close bars. Just it's actually the way that I do that I did learn. So I'll be over here on the hourly, right? And I'm looking at my strategy right now. Okay, very simple stuff, right? These sort of signals over here, I'm basically looking for a cross between the 21 and 55, and then I'll essentially long after a test of the 21, and essentially it holds. So I'll be longing over here, and maybe even again over here, and I'll be managing on the 55. And this one seems to work out, but you can see over here, well, I mean, actually, it still kind of keeps you in the trade, to be fair. This is a bad example because all of these work out, and I don't want them to. I want to show failures. Well, fuck it, man. Anyways, my point is that in that time frame there was like four or five different signals. They all technically did work out, but I wanted to show a bunch of failures, which unfortunately didn't get. Look, it's not a perfect strategy. Like, I do take losses, enough. Like I said, my hit rate is like low 70s, if on a good day, I'll say. Anyways, daily over here though, how many signals do you see over here? You don't really actually see any, in fact. You don't really, you literally don't see any. Where's the last daily signal? Way back on over here. So you get one shot, you get one opportunity, and then you're just basically waiting. So it really depends on your sort of trading personality and what you actually want to do. So, while you do seem like you want to learn the lower term timeframes, understand there's not really a difference there. It's just being more, being more active, I suppose. So hopefully that was helpful, man. And maybe if like you have something a little bit more directed, I can go off of that as well. But hopefully that was helpful as a starter. And yeah, man, we can always chat it up on Discord as well.